All right, here's how to do linear programming like the concept byte on page 163 on your calculator. So if you work through the example with me, you can see how we're going to do this. So the first thing they've got is we want to solve this system. Negative 3x plus 2y is less than or equal to 8. Negative 8x plus y is greater than or equal to negative 48. X is greater than or equal to 0, and y is greater than or equal to 0. Well, three of these we can go ahead and put in our calculator. You don't need to worry about the y is greater than or equal to 0, but you can sure put it in. We're also going to talk about how to graph inequalities using your calculator. So first thing we need to do is solve both equations for y, because if we go to the y equals menu to graph, we have to have everything solved for y. Y equals whatever in terms of x here. So we're going to go ahead and start by entering the first one. We've got 3/2 x plus 4. And we want to arrow clear over to the left. We want to shade, we want this to be y is less than or equal to. So, whoops, okay. Arrow to the left. Now you're going to hit enter until there it's shading greater than. We don't want that. We want less than. So I'm going to leave that alone. All right, my second inequality. We've got 8x minus 48. But I want to shade where y is greater than. So I arrow clear over to the left again. So you can see my flashing cursor here. And I want to hit enter until I get it to show greater than right here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and arrow back. And I also had y is greater than or equal to 0. I can arrow over the left again, hit enter until it's shading above. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to graph. Now, your window may not be set perfectly, but you can see the region we're talking about here. We said it was bounded by the first quadrant. And we know that we're going to need to find out where those lines cross up in here. Now, first of all, you might want to change your window settings. So here was how I had my window set. 0 to 10, my x scale was 2s, y min was 0, y max was 20, and my y scale was 5s. That's a sample of how you could set it. If I look back at this graph, a couple of things I want to do. I want to find out this point right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do intersection. So I'm going to go second, calculate. I want an intersect. So here I'm talking about the first line and the second equation. Those are the two I'm interested in about here. So it tells me they cross at 8:16. Well, while I still have this on my calculator screen, I'm just going to go ahead and quit. And back on the home screen, I'm going to type in my objective function, which p equals 13x plus 2y. So I'm going to go 13x plus 2. And then to get the y, I'm going to go alpha. And then there's a green y here above 1. I'm going to do that. So now back on my screen, I've got 13x plus 2y. If I hit enter, 136 is the value of that objective function at the point on my graph, which was 8:16. And if you're not sure you're buying that, 13 times 8 plus 16 times 2, it's exactly what the calculator just did for us. So you could jot that down, 8:16 and the value of p. Now we're going to go ahead. We want to find out like this point right here. So I'm going to go second, calculate. I want a value when x is 0. I'm going to hit enter. Now this is walking me through the equations. So in the first equation, it would be 0, 4. In the second equation, it would be 0, negative 48. And the third one, it would be 0, 0. Well, I want the first one. So while I have 0, 4 on my screen, I'm going to quit. And I'm going to come back here and go second, enter. And then here it is again, 8. Because all it did is substitute in 0 for x, 4 for y, just from my calculator screen. So now I'm going to go back to the graph. I am also interested in this point right here. So I'm going to go second, calculate. I want to know a 0. When y equals 0. So I'm interested in actually equation 2. And right now, my y value is negative. So I'm going to hit enter, but then I'm going to arrow to the right until my y value gets to be positive. I'm still at negative 33. I got a ways to go. Negative 9. Oh, now my y is positive. I needed a sign change there. So since y started off negative and now it's positive, I can go ahead and hit enter for my right bound. And I don't care about guessing. At 6, 0 is that 0. Right here where those cross. So I'm going to go ahead and quit out of this. Second, enter, 78. And I'm trying to maximize. So far, nothing beats my 136 that was at the first point. Now, if I go back to the graph, if I go back to the graph, I'm also curious about the point 0, 0. So I could go back, second calculate. I want a value when x is 0. And I'm just going to arrow down until I get to the third equation, 0, 0. Now, just to practice how we do this, I quit out of that. Second, enter, enter. And it makes sense if I put in 0, 0, my objective function is 0, right? So I've got all those on my screen, and I can decide that the maximum value happened at the first intersection point, which was 8 and 16. And that's how you do it.